All right. In the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 1 or 2 minutes after the start time, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Zach Einerson. I'm the client engagement lead here at SafeAbroad, and it's good to see so many folks here on the call. And just like usual, we'll be able to go through and you'll get a good sense of our analyst team kind of sharing what they've worked on for this coming or this past month and this coming month as well. Please do, if you have any questions about anything that is presented or talked about, you're welcome to use the chat function to see and we'd be able to answer any questions you may have. If not, you can always reach out to myself or anyone on the team after the call. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. And so that's kind of the agenda for the call. And go through some introductions. I think we'll kind of do some introductions as we go through. Each presenter, each analyst will briefly introduce themselves before they talk about their particular section. We've got the sections on recent incidents as well as the month ahead and some reports that we'll briefly go over as well. So we will start with recent incidents. So please go ahead and get started if you've got this topic for the day.
Hi guys, nice to see everyone. So the incident here I will be discussing was confirmed in the US on August 4th, but was being tracked throughout the entirety of the month. Traveler coming from El Salvador to the United States brought in the NWS or New World screwworm myiasis. It's a parasitic fly that lays its eggs in your skin through an open wound. It infests, it hatches, and then they spread that way. So the CDC has confirmed that the patient traveling to the United States was contained pretty early on, so the risk to the United States is low, but those traveling to Central America should be advised of the heightened risk, considering there are outbreaks and cases confirmed in every Central American country. So some stats here. We got 161 cases as of July of this year, but have since risen. We have 124 in Nicaragua, 41 in Mexico, and at least 28 in Costa Rica. The first death was confirmed in Mexico on the 28th of this year, but she already had necrotic skin cancer. So obviously, SafeAbroad travelers are advised to avoid areas where cattle and livestock are present, and then to cover and clean wounds, especially in these areas where fresh water and health services might not be as readily available. Thank you.
Hello, this one's mine. Starting between August 6th and the 11th, on Kyushu Island in Japan, there was very heavy rain that caused a lot of flooding and mudslides that killed 8, injured 25, and had 360,000 evacuate. It did not start letting up until the 10th, and by then all the bullet train services had paused in the area. Multiple flights were canceled, and then as the rain front was moving out of the area onto Honshu, which is Japan's larger island, they also started seeing a lot of service interruptions. SafeAbroad travelers in the area were advised to reconfirm the viability of their routes before setting out and to follow official directives. This is notable because Japan's rain season has been getting worse the past few years, so you're seeing a lot more extreme incidences such as this one. So thank you.
All right, we'll jump over to Italy.
All right, so my topic was Italy, and in August of 2025, there were large protests that broke out in Messina, Italy, and it was against the Italian government's plan to build a strait in of the Messina Bridge, and the project will be one of the biggest infrastructure developments in Europe, and it will connect Sicily directly to the Italian mainland. On paper, the bridge has promises that it's going to create jobs, have faster transportation, and also generate more tourism. However, a lot of the critics are arguing that the costs and the actual problems that come with the bridge are outweighing the benefits. And also environmentally, the bridge cuts through a marine ecosystem in the strait. So a lot of environmentalists are arguing against it. And especially in that area, it is a little more known to have seismic risks, including like earthquakes. And for such a large structure to be put there, it'll be more dangerous. For travelers in that area, they are advised to avoid the main areas, avoid the main streets because the protests are going to be going on, obviously causing roadblocks and some delays. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Taiwan.
Hi, I'm Julie Hammerschlag, and I'll be covering Taiwan. On August 12th, Taiwan's Central Weather Administration issued an evacuation for Typhoon Padal. Thousands of people evacuated the high-risk areas for Typhoon Padal in Taiwan. However, not everyone left the area. Therefore, on August 13th, when Typhoon Padal hit land in Tainan, Kaohsiung, Chehaye, Kuling, Pitong, and Hualien counties, one person was reported missing and 33 others were injured. The typhoon led to flight cancellations, school closures, and power outages in the region that lasted for 20 to 30 hours. Safe abroad travelers were advised not to travel to Taiwan and to cancel or rebook any flights. If a safe abroad traveler was already in Taiwan, they were advised to remain inside and avoid walking or transportation due to risk of flash floods, and to follow all official directives. Thank you.
Argentina. Let's go to Argentina.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lydia Ajari, and I just recently joined SafeAbroad as an intelligence analyst intern, and I'm excited to be here. So today I'll be reporting on an incident that occurred in Argentina on August 27th, where protesters became violent towards President Javier Milei during his campaign rally in Buenos Aires. So essentially what occurred was President Milei was with his entourage and security team going through Lomas de Zamora, and they were protesting not protesting, but they were campaigning for the local elections that will occur in October 26th. And as they were campaigning, it started off very peaceful, but then protesters were shouting, "Out with Milei," and rocks started to fly and other projectiles were hitting the truck that they were in. And immediately the security team was quick and they quickly evacuated President Milei, and also Secretary General Karina Milei, his sister. And with this incident that occurred, there was one reported incident where a female had rib injuries and she was transported to a local hospital, and 2 people were arrested because of this incident. And with that, there was also a truck with a lot of projectiles that were ready to be thrown at the staff. And with that being said, safe abroad travelers were advised to avoid protest sites, plan alternate routes, and anticipate travel delays and disruptions.
Thanks, Lydia. Moving on to Indonesia.
Everyone's having a good afternoon. My name is Matthew Peterson. I'll be going over this incident in Indonesia. On August 25th, starting in Jakarta, a protest started over housing benefits that were given to lawmakers. This protest quickly turned violent and spread out over the entirety of Indonesia whenever a rideshare driver was killed by riot police. He was hit by one of their vehicles and ran over. Afterwards, over 3,000 people across the entire country were arrested, 1,200 of them within Jakarta. Riots included hurling rocks at government buildings, lighting government buildings on fire, looting parliament houses. While the protests have quieted down, it's important to note that they still have the ability to pop up at any point. Major protest organizations have pulled out of protesting to have started to release statements saying don't protest anymore, but individual groups still have the ability to start these flashpoint riots. So we advise safe abroad travelers that if they see any sort of civil disturbance or police presence in an area, to avoid it at all costs. Avoid police stations, government buildings, which are still target to attacks, and exercise increased caution in large urban areas. Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we're going to shift to the month ahead, month of September, to Portugal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I'm one of the part-time staff here at SafeAbroad. My role is intelligence analyst and also the program manager for the interns here. So what we're going to be looking at is that starting today and going all the way through January 2nd in 2026, in Portugal, we will see that unionized ground workers associated with SEMA will strike intermittently across Portugal, affecting all of the airports within Portugal. The first strike will began September 3rd at 12 a.m. and will end at September 9th at 11:59 a.m. Afterwards, strikes will occur on all subsequent weekends, beginning each Friday at 12 a.m. and ending each Monday at 11:59 a.m. until this pattern is disrupted by a final extended strike that starts December 19th and goes all the way through January 2nd. These strikes are expected to significantly delay baggage handling and claiming processes and may result in flight delays and cancellations. So safe abroad travelers are advised to reconfirm any flights and adjust their travel plans accordingly, and to expect these delays and account for them when booking flights.
Thank you. To the UK.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Yan. Similar to Caroline, I am also a part-time employee here at SafeAbroad. I am an Intel analyst and the intelligence program manager, and I will be briefing you on the situation in London that will start on September 5th. We have underground tube and railroad workers that will be striking in a multi-day strike, and there will also be protests happening at a variety of times and dates. There are multiple unions involved, not just the underground tube and railroad workers, including the operations managers and anyone involved in the operations of the underground tube. So there are a lot of travel disruptions that are expected as a result of this strike. The main unions are the RMT and DRL union workers, and negotiations are still ongoing. So there's a possibility that some of the strikes will be canceled, but it's unlikely that all of the strikes will be canceled. Travelers are advised to reconfirm their routes before setting out and monitor local media for updates.
Thank you. And off to Brazil.
Hello, everyone. My name's Nolan. I'm an Intel analyst and also operations manager here at SafeAbroad. This event here, mass protests are planned on September 7th in support of former President Bolsonaro across major Brazilian cities as his trial is ongoing. This also coincides with Brazil's Independence Day. Just a little background here. Bolsonaro is on trial for alleged participation in a 2022 coup. The trial already started on the 2nd and his ends on the 7th, but it should also be noted that all of the conspirators or alleged conspirators are wrapping up their trials by September 12th. Further protests are likely after the trial is completed. We've been seeing waves of protests, especially by Bolsonaro supporters, and we've also seen counter protests. In addition, safe abroad travelers are advised to avoid these protests and interacting with the protesters. Disruptions are likely to occur. We've also seen violence at these events, especially in early January. Pro-Bolsonaro supporters ransacked multiple federal buildings in Brasilia. So we advise our travelers to go ahead and avoid these.
All right, to France.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily, and I am a Safe Abroad Intelligence Analyst intern, and I will be reporting on France today. So from September 18th to 19th, air traffic controllers across France will strike in response to grievances over pay and management. This strike is organized by the SNCTA union, which is the largest union in the country, representing about 60% of French air traffic controllers. It is not known at this time if other unions are planning on participating with them. This upcoming strike is preceded by a strike in July of this year, on July 3rd and 4th, which was organized by a different union, the UNSA union. This previous strike affected more than 1 million passengers. It delayed on average 3,713 flights on each strike day, representing 10.7% of all flights. It also caused on average 1,422 cancellations on each strike day, representing 4.7% of all scheduled flights. As evident by these numbers, the upcoming strike has the potential to cause significant disruptions, especially considering that it is organized by the largest union in the country. So travelers should anticipate delays and cancellations for flights in and out of France, as well as flights traveling through French airspace. So this could include routes from the United Kingdom, Italy, and Spain, to name a few of the major ones. So travelers should plan accordingly and are advised to reconfirm flights. Details of cancellations and delays are not yet available, but should be released by France's Civil Aviation Authority 2 days prior to the planned strike. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Over to Thailand and Cambodia.
Yeah, we've been seeing continued clashes along the Cambodian and Thailand border, despite the ceasefire that was put into place. Very well covered event between July and August. Armed clashes between the two countries along the border region broke out. Many tens of thousands of civilians were displaced. And despite a ceasefire being declared on July 28th, we're continuing to see these allegations of to the terms of the ceasefire being broken. Travelers should keep in mind that this is not a new event, but rather border disputes have been ongoing for the better part of a century here. So there's a long precedent of this as well. They should also be aware that recently, in the last couple of days, Thailand has removed their prime minister over her handling of the most recent clashes here. So we heavily advise that safe abroad travelers or any travelers avoid traveling within 50 kilometers of the Thailand-Cambodian border.
Thank you. To China.
Hi everyone, my name is Douglas. I'm an intelligence analyst intern here at SafeAbroad, and I'll be briefing you today on China. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, has raised its travel advisory for the Guangdong province of China following an outbreak of the Chikungunya virus. So originally they had a level 1 advisory, which is practice normal precautions, but now they're at a level 2, which is practice enhanced precautions. So the chikungunya virus is a mosquito-borne disease that causes flu-like symptoms. So some of those symptoms include fever, joint pain, headache, muscle pain, joint swelling, and rash. In severe and but rare cases, people could die or have long-term joint pain, but that usually only occurs in babies, the elderly, or people with underlying conditions. Infected people typically start to feel symptoms after 3 to 7 days of being bit, unless they're asymptomatic. So vaccines are available in limited capacity, and there's no cure for the disease. So lots of it is just treating people with over-the-counter medications just to alleviate uh, the result of the symptoms. In terms of implication for the traveler, safe abroad travelers are advised to wear insect repellent, long sleeves, and pants, to stay in place of the screens on windows and doors. It's also good for safe abroad travelers to try to seek places with air conditioning, as well as that's a good repellent for the mosquitoes that could be carrying this virus. Another important thing to note is that the Chinese government has been taking countermeasures, though those countermeasures, a lot of the public in China has been compared them to those COVID-19 measures. So in some cases, infected people, if they're admitted to the hospital, they're not allowed to leave. So unless they're test negative or after having a week in the hospital already. So that's something important that for travelers to know, that you could, if they do check into a hospital in China, they may not be allowed to leave unless they meet those requirements.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, so that wraps it up for today and this month. Thanks for all attending, and just a highlight of some of the services that we provide. And one final reminder, we do monthly webinars on various topics, and this month's will be on Friday, September 26th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And the topic is Safety on Independent Travel, Guiding Students Beyond the Program Bubble. So we look forward to seeing you there, as well as next month's briefing as well. So thanks so much, and have a great day.